Facebook stock suffered the largest one-day loss of any publicly traded company in the history when its shares plunged nearly 20% on Thursday, July 25th of this year, erasing almost $120 billion of its market value. This has been a result of a recent scandal and failed leadership provisions you may have seen in the news recently concerning Facebook and its CEO and chairman Mark Zuckerberg. The Facebook data privacy scandal centers around the collection of personal information of up to 87 million people by the political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica, along with other companies, are able to gain and access personal data of Facebook users. Facebook has more than a decade-long track record of incidents highlighting their inadequate and insufficient measures to protect data privacy, citing both their ethical compliance and strategic leadership flaws. A few of these examples can be traced back to 2005 when researchers at MIT were found to have created a program that downloaded publicly posted information of over 70,000 users from different schools 2 years before they began to allow search engines to access these profiles. Then, in 2007, a class action suit was filed for which Facebook paid out $9.5 million to fund privacy and security as part of the settlement agreement. Then on to 2011, the company entered into a consent decree promising to address concerns about how user data was tracked and shared after an incident in 2009 in which information thought private by users was being shared publicly. In 2013, Facebook disclosed details of a bug that exposed the personal details of almost 6 million accounts over approximately a year. This all led up to the beginning of the most recent Cambridge Analytica portion of Facebook's many data privacy scandals, which started in February of 2014. A year later, in December of 2015, Facebook learned for the first time that the data was being shared with Cambridge Analytica. On March 17, 2018, an expose was published by The Guardian and New York Times initially reporting that 50 million Facebook profiles were harvested by Cambridge Analytica. The figure was later revised to up to 87 million profiles. Each time Facebook finds itself caught up in a privacy scandal, the general playbook seems to be the same. Mark Zuckerberg delivers an apology with often recycled lines such as, "That was a big mistake," or "I know we can do better." Zuckerberg went silent for 5 days following the initial report. Zuckerberg was criticized initially, failing to apologize to the public. Since then, Zuckerberg and Facebook have been on a major offensive, apologizing on national TV and rolling out new privacy policies. Facebook has also outlined a new privacy policy that aims to explain the data it gathers on users more clearly.
So I'd like to talk about the issue of ethical compliance in relation to this Facebook scandal. So ethical compliance is a term we learned about in Chapter 2, and it basically relates to the extent to which an organization and its members follow basic ethical standards of behavior. So if we think about Facebook, which is the biggest social media platform in the world, we as users have some ethical expectations. One of those being not sharing any of our contact information, not sharing our friends list, not sharing our list of likes, not sharing political preference. So these issues actually came to light a couple years ago in 2011. The FTC asked Facebook to basically get clear consent from any user if their material is going to be shared. So not only is this an ethical dilemma, but it actually is also a law. Now, with the recent Facebook scandal, Facebook revealed that the data of up to 87 million people was distributed. So not only is that an ethical dilemma in itself, the second part to the story is that the data was sold to this political consultancy, which did have a direct link to the US 2016 presidential election. So, in turn, this compromises the integrity of the US democracy in itself. So unfortunately, Facebook's ethical compliance was not at its peak in the past couple of years, and we hope that they will learn from these mistakes and do better in the future.
Alright, so the term I'll be using is strategic leadership. Strategic leadership is the capability to understand the complexities of both the organization and its environment, and to lead change in the organization to achieve and maintain superior alignment between the organization and its environment. Now, Mark Zuckerberg is the CEO of his company, so he's responsible for these things. He's responsible for setting the overall direction and product strategy for the company. Now, since Facebook's privacy scandals, the company lost $90 billion in market value. However, Zuckerberg did not waste much time to turn this thing around. Zuckerberg uses a few different leadership strategies in order to optimize his earnings and get the company headed back in the right direction. First of all, he went to Capitol Hill for a questioning where he apologized for not taking a broad enough view of the company and his company's responsibility, and for not doing enough to prevent the platform from being used for harm. And not only did he apologize in Capitol Hill, but he has also spoken to various media outlets about Facebook's responsibility to users. The company has also apologized in full-page ads in a number of newspapers. So this is to basically get on the media side and get the media off of his back and stop getting bad press. Now, the next thing Zuckerberg does is he also agreed to testify before Congress, which is a huge step forward with convincing the government and its policymakers that Facebook can act more responsibly. Now, he does this because he doesn't want the policymakers to make a bunch of regulations against Facebook that would make it hard to use Facebook, etc. Now, after using a few of these simple leadership strategies, the company's shares are actually back up 23%. And Zuckerberg turned the company around and has earned $13 billion since March 27th.
For the third topic, we're going to discuss the crisis management that the Chief Technology Officer Mike Schofer wanted to implement in the wake of the Facebook scandal. Crisis management is defined as the set of procedures the organization uses in the event of a disaster or other unexpected calamities. First, Mr. Schofer wanted to update terms of service and data use policies. He wanted to make sure this was more detailed with descriptive language and the language was clear so that the users knew exactly what they were using when they used the Facebook app. Secondly, he wanted to cut all third-party apps from seeing into event pages on Facebook. These event pages could see everything that was posted, and even the people that were invited and the people that said they were attending. Thirdly, a link was added to appear at the top of the user's news feeds on the Facebook app, suggesting them to look at all the third-party apps that they can access their information. So as soon as they opened their Facebook app, this was at the top. They could go into their settings and look at what they wanted to enable or disable from looking into more accessing all their information. Lastly, Mr. Schofer wanted to make a commitment to all call and text message logs, and they will only last no longer than a year until they are automatically deleted. He also wanted to get rid of all the call logs that track the times of the calls. So if a call came in or went out, you could not tell what time that was or how long the call was for.
This has been one of the biggest privacy scandals in recent history. Facebook lost about 20% of their market share and lost the trust of its users due to the fact that the ethical norm of having your information kept private was broken. In order for Facebook to get back to their peak ethical compliance, Mark Zuckerberg had to use strategic leadership and the company's crisis management had to be on point, in which this situation did happen based on the steps that Chief Technology Officer Mike Schofer took, changing 4 of the privacy settings of the social media website and based on Mark Zuckerberg publicly apologizing on multiple occasions. It is yet to be seen if Facebook is going to recover due to the fact that this is a new occurrence, but they are definitely using the correct management concepts to get back to where they once were.